Welcome, welcome. It's so good to be with you today. If you're picking this up fresh and new, or if you're coming in at any point in the future, this is a good place to remind ourselves that the energy and the information being shared here in this series of creative energy levels is timeless. And you can come and pick this information up at any time. And as you listen to it again and even again, each time it's going to land differently because every day we're different and we're in the now. So we're reminding ourselves actually that our past enriches us because of our experiences, but it doesn't do us any good at all to go back in time to try and fix it or figure it out. It just is what has happened so far, and we get to be the interpreters. So I am very, very adept at finding ways to bring our best energy forward as we're moving forward in time. And one of those, the tools that I've really researched for a very long time, since the mid-'80s, is what we're doing today. We're looking at what has occurred and come forward in short form so that we get these, short videos. I know they're like a half an hour long, but that's not such a long time. And we can listen to them as an audio file. We don't have to take them in as a video. So you do what you can to make this work for you. It's my gift to you because I can't imagine anything better than learning not to suffer over our lives and becoming more aware of the unique gifts and talents that each of us has been given and that the world is waiting for. The world is hungry for our creative voice to be part of the mix. A lot of static on the line these days, isn't there? So here we are. This would normally be where I would talk about the fifth level of creative energy. However, it has occurred to me that this is a good place to do a review as well as a preview. So when I turn to the demo camera in just a few minutes, I'll be doing a little drawing that's going to look like an inverted triangle so that we can see how the first four energies bring us to a point that we could call the fulcrum. And then the next four energies take us up into new ways of thinking and new ways of being. So let's begin our review, and I will simply turn I'll do a little poetic intro first. I like to do that because there's so many wise voices, right? And it's such a wonderful thing to bring the wisdom of the elders and the others into whatever we're doing on any given day. It supports the first level of energy as well as the 0 point. It gives us a beginner's mind, and it allows us to ground and root ourselves in a voice that brings stability. So I like to bring Emerson into my mind very often. And I carry with me this little card. It's actually inside my Kindle. And so a lot of times when I get to read it often. So here's what Emerson tells us from his essay, The Oversoul. He says, "Great is the soul and plain. It is no flatterer. It is no follower. It never appeals from itself. It always believes in itself. I am born into the great, the universal mind. I, the imperfect, adore my own perfect. More and more, the surges of everlasting nature enter into me, and I become public and human in my regards and actions. So come I to live thoughts and act with energies which are immortal, with a divine unity." Emerson. great is the soul and plain. I love that. I've loved it since I was in 11th grade English class with my teacher, Barb Basil. And a little story, because we are storytellers, a little story. When I was in the 11th grade, we were all given a hard copy, a little 4 by 6 inch, but thick hard copy book of Emerson's essays. And we used it for the entire semester or year, whichever it was that we were studying Emerson. And I never thought of it again. Many, many years later, in the late, well, I guess mid-90s, right before I moved from Ohio to Virginia, Beatty was working at a little antique store in our neighborhood. And in the basement of this really cool old house was a stone basement, and there was an antique bookstore, used bookstore in the basement of the house. There was antiques and used furniture and all kinds of cool collectibles. Beatty became friends with the woman who ran the bookstore. I didn't know that. It didn't make any difference to me. My life was going on. But one day, Beatty brought home a book, and she said, the owner of the bookstore says she knows you, and she wants you to have this. So my name had come up, and the bookstore owner knew my name. And now she is sending home a book. And the book was a hard copy edition of Emerson's essays. And she gave Beatty the story that each page in the book had been torn and taped back together. And what had happened is that in 11th grade English class, one of the fellows in the class he was bored. He didn't like what we were doing. And he tore up his copy of Emerson's essays. And he tore the book from right down the middle of every page, from the edge to the spine. So all the pages were still in the book, but they were all taped. Both sides now, they were taped. Turns out that she said he threw the book into the trash can, leaving the classroom. And I took the book out of the trash can when I left the classroom. I took the book home. I taped all 345 pages back together, both sides of each page, and I brought it back and gave it to the teacher. Just something I did. I don't remember doing it at all. And she said that copy of Emerson's essays became her teaching copy for the rest of her career, which was something like 30 years. And she thought that I should have that copy of Emerson's essays, which I do. It's across the house on my bookshelf, and it's a treasure. Because, this particular video is a pause point. We could call this particular video a still point. We have to have a place where we pause. So I'm going to turn the camera to demo, and I'm going to do a little inverted triangle to give us a different way of looking at the pattern of the energies that we're working with in this series. And we'll do both a preview we'll do a review, and then we'll do a brief preview. Both will be brief. So let me turn the camera and let's go to our demo. Remember, you can follow along and do this in your journal or workbook, and it will give you an opportunity to, again, kind of anchor and stabilize these energies as we're moving through them. And we could say that right now we're at the midpoint. I'm going to make a big circle to represent the 0 point, because everything comes out of the void. And I'm going to see if I can drop this camera down just a little bit without making too much of a problem for us. And so hopefully then you can see a little bit easier what I'm demonstrating. I know this is kind of rudimentary. I don't mind that. I hope you don't either. All right, so we remember that we started with the 0 point, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do an inverted triangle inside the circle, and we're going to put the levels in. The next one coming up is what we call a fulcrum point, right down here at the bottom. So this already begins to look a bit like a pendulum, doesn't it? And we're going to put in the first 4 levels of energy on this side. So that's first level, second level, third level, fourth level. And we know that the colors are, and this looks a little different than our stick figure map, but it's still a map. It's still a chart. It's still a way of being able to visualize what we're up to. First level, second level, third level, and fourth level. Now, I don't have to go over them very much because you have the videos and you can revisit the videos anytime you choose. But I did realize that I neglected to put in from Carol Bridges the power statement and the correlation with the tarot from the fourth level. So let me add that right now, and then you can make your notes as you go forward. She calls the fourth level of energy command, and in a traditional tarot deck, it's referred to as the Emperor. She said in the Medicine Woman Tarot, which is what this is, she refers to this as Medicine Woman energy taking command for the good of all. So you want to make a note of that this is the fourth level on your stick figure map, which, you know, we've got that right over here. It's a fourth level on your stick figure map, and it has a correlation with the tarot as the Medicine Woman energy taking command for the good of all. And the affirmation or power statement that Carol Bridges has assigned to this energy level is this: I now create the structures through which all my gifts will be actualized through the heart, through the fourth level. I am the governor of my world. I am the ruler of my life. From limitless spirit, I draw all things needed for right action. So whether we're looking at our stick figure navigational map and we're climbing up, or we're looking at our pendulum within the circle and we're moving down to the fulcrum pendulum point and then up, it doesn't matter. These are just 2 different ways of looking at the creative energy, and you may have your own way of doing it also. It all gets folded in. This is wisdom teaching, and nobody owns it in any specific form. When we get to this point in the mapping, we're going to be doing something. Where's my color? There's my color. We're going to be, so next, the next video, this is now starting our preview. The next video will be turquoise, and it will be living up in the throat area of our stick figure map. I'll be drawing it in that video. Then we have the 6th level, the 7th level, the 8th level, and the 9th level of energy. And the colors that correspond with each of those for the way that I do the work is a little bit different, in that this energy is blue. The 6th level is blue. I'll come back to that in just a moment. The 7th level is lavender. And so in the stick figure map, the lavender will be up at the top at the crown chakra. And of course, we will connect that with Jacqueline Small's work and Carol Bridges' work as we go. I'm not going up this way right now. I'm just giving you a preview of coming attractions. Very exciting and very inspiring. When we get to the 8th level, we're going to be doing an auric field or a bubble of light around our stick figure map. It will be magenta, 8th level. And then finally, for our purposes for this series, and as mentioned, there are many more levels, but we're just working pretty much within the body so that we can consider the body a portable unit. And we really start to bring ourselves back home again and use this tool as a way to do that. So it's just one more tool in our It's About Time work that helps us remember that we work from home. And so in this image right here, the pendulum, we are looking at how we climb, we build. This is building, and this is climbing. So we build our stability, we build our sense of belonging, we build our identity, and we have the belt that we have to move through in order to get up to open the heart. But once we open the heart, we do the work of our heart. We discover the work of our heart. We align with our North Star in a way that we couldn't do if we stayed in the first three zones and just remained sort of there for our entire life, which, many of us, most of us do. We just live below the belt for our entire life, looking for stability, trying to figure out where we belong, and wondering who we are. So the entire journey that we're doing in this series hinges on where we're going next, the fifth level of energy. And so today I just wanted to give us a kind of an overview of where we have been here and here, and where we are going. This is diving down and in, and this is going out and up. And all of it is the same. I mean, here we're down and we're in. We're down deep in our body, in our somatic fields of the first, second, and the third chakra zone, and what they represent in the ways that we've already spoken of. And once we break through, endure some experience in our life, and maybe more than one, definitely there's going to be more than one, where we have to call upon all of our inner strengths and our capacity to surrender our fear so that we can break through, endure, and go deeper into the heart. And once we connect with the heart, then the journey upward becomes possible. It's really not possible to the fullest extent if we remain below the belt and stuck. So I also wanted to, in this review and preview, I also wanted to bring forward some of my favorite tarot decks. And so there's Carol Bridges and the Medicine Woman Tarot. It's a wonderful one because it's really earth-based and it is feminine-based. So I really like it. I also love the Voyager Tarot by James Wanless. And the cards here are like soul cards, like spirit cards. And they're all beautiful collaged cards. And so these really become really rich for exploration in our own ways. So James Wanless and the Voyager Tarot. And James Wanless did his PhD in oracles. So in the front part of the book, he's got a chapter on many, many different types of oracles that have been passed down through the ages. We also have, as a recommendation for learning more about your own relationship with these levels of energy through the tarot, through the archetypes, we have highlights of the tarot from the builders of the Adytum. It's an odd word, but it is a wisdom school. And you can order highlights of the tarot with coloring instructions, and then you get the cards, and they're really a nice size, and you color them in yourself based on the instructions in the book. So this can be a really lovely adjunct to your own inner exploration and your ability to connect more deeply with what these archetypal collective consciousness images mean for you and how they communicate with you what they bring to you, which is going to be yours alone. It's really beautiful to do this kind of work. So lastly, I want to share with you also, I did this deck with a large group of people across the country in the early 90s. And then the following year, I led a group in doing our own personal tarot decks. This is mine. And we worked for a whole year, and we went through, the tarot relates to the zodiac. So we each had our astrological charts, and we found where each of the archetypes of the tarot live in our own personal chart. And then we designed a card, and we used our non-dominant hand to create each card. And then we could color it in with our dominant hand. And that, of course, using the right and the left hand, connects with the right and the left brain and gives us a sense of tremendous exploration and sort of cutting edge creative energy, because we're drawing with our non-dominant hand the archetype of the card and whatever it means to us as we're working on it. Personal imagery can be easily combined. And then, we make our own notations on where the energy lives in our chart and what it means to us specifically. That's the Hanged Man. So it actually is oriented upside down as the Hanged Man. So the tarot here at our midpoint, before we start climbing, first we'll discover the fulcrum point of the 5th level of energy, and then we'll begin to climb upward. And the tarot becomes more and more of a tool that we can each use in our own way. So I encourage you, if you don't have a tarot deck, go online. You might find that you relate to James Wanless. He's an academic who has really done a lot to bring tremendous connections to culture. He uses the runes, he uses the Torah, he uses numbers, he uses geomancy, which is reading geography. He uses all those different qualities within the context of his exploration of the tarot. And then, of course, there are also the very old traditional, the Rider-Waite deck, and, countless decks of tarot now. And I've got many, many more, but these are the ones that I tend to use. And each month I'll pull the card that represents my energy for the month. Again, we're working with creative energy levels. There is an endless way to mine the gold of what these creative energies bring to us. But I want to share with you some examples to perhaps support you in finding your own tools to bring into our series. So as you're keeping your notes and you're doing your drawings, you're also finding your own way into each of these levels. There we have it. I am so grateful to be sharing this information with you. It is a way for each of us to find, what does my life stand for at this point in time? And that changes as we grow and as our life experience accrues. We don't know who we are completely ever. We're always an existential detective. We're always at a point of making a new discovery today. So I'm proud that I can do something that's more important than myself by bringing this level of work into our community. And I like the word pride used as an acronym, where PRIDE stands for putting respect into daily events, so that when we ask, what does my life stand for, we have some tools that we can constantly come back to. Really return to your workbook, notebook. If you've taken some of our courses previously, find the ways that you can plug in what we're doing here with what you did previously. If you didn't do anything previously, no worries, because each program that we bring is a standalone. I do have a favor to ask of you, and that is to make a comment on the YouTube channel, share the work if it resonates for you, and if you have somebody that you think it would have meaning for, don't just push it out at people. Nobody wants you to tell them what to do. So this is really a very small, intimate circle, and there are small, intimate circles all over the planet right now, all over the globe, doing this kind of wonderful alchemical mining of our creativity. It's the highest pinnacle of the human, to be creative and to share our voice through our music, through our poetry, through our memoirs, through our ideas, our essays, also through, of course, all the different ways in which we create, throwing pots, building bridges, making beautiful meals, painting, dancing. It's endless, but we want to be really sensing into the power of our own creative energy fields and knowing what they are, so that we can bring ourselves back into balance as needed in this amazing world that we're in right now, that we chose to be in. So thanks for being here. I'm going to turn the camera to say our